Hey everyone, it's Kevin from the Lift Valley Radio Podcast. I hope you're doing well. I thought I'd come in quick and say a quick hello to you guys and to remind you to go to Recovering from Religion for this Saturday at noon Pacific time till about 4 p.m. Pacific time, or if you're in the Eastern on the East Coast, be from 3 to 7 Pacific time. We have a virtual bingo game happening. So we have about 17 interviews, like almost like speed dating. That's going to be happening one after another, and even more prizes. They'll all be playing with this bingo card. All you have to do is go to Recovering from Religion. I've put a note in the comments, and all you have to do is essentially go online, make a $10 donation, and we will send you via email a bingo card before the game happens. Now, if you're going to do it on the day of, that price is going to go up. So you want to go now while it's still only $10. And I thought, I'd give you the quick lay down of what's going on. And people have been asking some question, and I also got some mail, so I thought I'd share a
Mail
bit of more
time.
mail. Remember that? Oh yeah. Well, this is actually from one of our patrons. This is actually from a guy who calls himself Pre-Thinker215. He's a patron of a lot of people, and he sends a letter to us. It says, "Hi, Kevin and the LATV crew. Hey, my bad for not writing to you in what seems like an eternity. I continue to listen to the show and enjoy the content, but life limits one's ability to communicate. I get that. I've always liked the show since the days with Nancy, Kirsten, and Christina. Yeah, those were the days. Those were also the days where we actually won the 2020 Best Canadian Atheist Podcast. So that was a hell of a surprise. We went up against guys like Vice Rhino and Corey Johnson's show. The name's on the tip of my tongue right now. Anyway, a lot of great shows, and I was like shocked to see that. What? We won this? Okay, cool. So I'll take it. I remember one episode of Yes after you had first joined Patreon, and added content to the patron only feed where Nancy was asking for you to send her a copy of the show because she wasn't a patron and wasn't getting the Patreon content. Yeah. The whole thing about me, I am not a computer genius, all right? I frankly need somebody. I'm an ideas guy, right? I have the idea, I have the vision. I can kind of sort of make it happen if I surround myself with people that can help me with the technical stuff, right? I'm an ideas kind of guy. The show has definitely evolved significantly since the first episode with your original co-host Karen. Yes, that was in 2014. Quick story about that is, at the time I was listening to a whole bunch of atheist podcasts, and I kind of thought, I could probably do something better than these shows. Turns out I can't, but nonetheless, we tried. It was so bad, I had no idea what I was doing. If you go back like in way old archives, I don't encourage you to do so. Those episodes are actually recorded in mono. They're not even stereo. That's to tell you how bad it was. um, I remember going back to listen to old shows and discovered there was a lot more sound effects. Yes, there was. I've always been kind of a sound effect kind of guy. I like to add that kind of stuff. Uh, you know, there's something about a sound effect when you're making a point and all of a sudden, but it gets on the nerves of some people, and I have a tendency to overdo it, and so I probably did. Um, then some listeners wrote in to complain that there were too many, and you gradually stopped doing them. Well, I wouldn't say I stopped doing them. I don't do them so much on the live feed like this because that's always difficult because you got to click it in at the same time. But if you listen to I'll add them in post. If you listen to the audio only podcast, then you'll see them. You'll also hear the theme song and stuff like that. There's a bit more to it as well. I personally like the ones, especially the Simpsons. Can't blame me, man. Simpsons, there was always something good about the Simpsons. And if you don't like the Simpsons, too bad for you. The female to male ratio changes the dynamic immensely. We always had a lot of strong female voices on the show, and I like to encourage that because in the atheist podcast world, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guy shows, and I truly believe that women have as much as an opinion um, to bring to the discussion. Because I have an opinion, but coming from a female's point of view, she might have a completely different opinion, and I want to encourage that kind of talk. Um, when there were 6 ovaries to 2 testicles, it felt very different and better. It felt more right and comfortable for me. Well, we're trying to work on that. Too many testicles tends to have a lot of toxic testosterone, For a lot of shows, I would agree. Some shows are very good with that. They keep themselves on the side, but you know how guys get together, like try to egg yourself on, it's macho. Seems like the show is a little thirsty for some estrogen. Just a thought. Yes, we're working on that. We've got Helen now, who's part of the show, and we're working on bringing another strong female co-host. If you're one out there, you want to join us on the show, send me a message. After the relaunch, there was some uncertainty if the show would get footing again. COVID happened. That's what happened, right? COVID happened, and at the same time, Nancy, if you're a veteran of the show, Nancy Weiss Gallagher, which was our immortal Jewish assassin, she had that persona on the show, was this 83-year-old person, and she was an absolute pearl of a person. Nancy developed lung cancer. And it really sucks because she never smoked in her life. She just got lung cancer, right? And she fought it and fought it. And eventually she passed away the year COVID really hit us. She passed away in June. She was a big advocate of dying with dignity. And she did that too. And she basically, pulled the plug on herself. And it was really tough because Nancy and I were really close. She was kind of like almost like a big sister that I never really had. And there was, I've told this story before, in the days where myself and Nancy and Christina and Kirsten were on the show. After a recording, we went to a IHOP and we sat and we had breakfast and we were just joking around and all that. And being my goofy self. And then this elderly couple sitting beside us, they get up to leave. And the lady leans on Nancy and puts her hand on her shoulder. And she tells Nancy, says, you have a beautiful family. And of course, me being me, the first thing I said, yeah, Mom, you better start treating us right. And we all laughed at it. But what marked me at this moment is none of us corrected this person. None of us corrected her to say, no, we're just co-hosts, we're just friends. We were family. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when Nancy passed away, there was a great loss. Kirsten and Christina decided to do their own things. They were moving in together, getting a new place and all that. They didn't have time to do a show. So I basically asked the audience, say, guys, do you want me to continue the show or not? Nancy wanted me to continue the show. And you guys came back with lots of love, lots of affection, and say, yeah, Kev, we miss your voice. We miss the voice. We miss what you guys bring. Although we probably are the best kept little secret out there in the atheist community. Nobody seems to know about us. Still, somehow, we have all these great guests coming on. So then, I came in with another crew. At the relaunch, I continue the email here. At the relaunch, there was some uncertainty if the show would get footing again. They found Hertzie, Bradley, and Benjamin as co-host, and Sabrina as well. It seemed the show was firing on all cylinders. It was. The show was going where I wanted it to go. We're doing a lot of some skit comedy that I was writing. Brentley was great. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of comedic talent. He brings his voice, and he's good at doing impersonation and stuff like that. And I was trying to give a voice to the women as well, and voice to Benjamin, for example. He's kind of a shy guy. I want to give him a platform to express himself. I also very much enjoyed the skits. Yeah, the skits. I was the one writing like 99% of them, and it was basically skits that were based on the Bible. Like what kind of a conversation would Isaac and Abraham have after he tried to kill him? It's like, yeah, that was kind of weird, Dad. Yeah. So we were doing these kind of skits, and I will bring those back. We'll do some more, I'm sure. I do miss the old format with the multiple segments, the opening, dad jokes, the chit chat, the news, the top 10, things that make you go, this day in history, another brilliant moment, mail time, the interview, and story time. LATV was always an interview-based program, right? When we were hitting our stride, we had the show divided in two. The second half of the show was the interview. The first half of the show was divided into segments, pretty much like a radio talk show would have. We had the segments would open with me telling my jokes and introducing people. And then I do a chit chat, which was pretty much the news of the day of the week. We're reacting to that. And we had This Day in History that Nancy did back in the day. Brilliant. And but the problem is This Day in History is when you do that, after a while, after a year or two, it starts to repeat itself, right? So then she switched to a top 10. And she was doing that brilliantly as well. So, and then Brent Lee got a hold of another brilliant moment, which she was doing brilliantly. I gave these people minimum supervision on their segments. I wanted them to make it their own. So when Brent Lee came on with another brilliant moment, or Nancy came on with a top 10 or something like that, I had no idea what they were going to talk about. I had absolutely no idea. What I would do is I would tell them, oh, look, these are the stories I'm going to do in the chit chat, so I don't impede on their thing, right? But that's it. So the reactions you had on the show were genuine. A lot of these shows out there are scripted, and that's a bit. I mean, if you got like great comedy and all that, but we're just regular people. So I just wanted the show to be genuine. The laughter was real. Everything was real about it. And these segments, although right now we're not doing that. Right now, all we're doing is the interview portion. But I am working to bring that back to where it was. Okay, because I really like the show the way it was. But things happen, and I will get into that in a bit. Um, some shows can be interview heavy, and that's understandable. If the guest portion was long, it's difficult to edit. You mentioned that bringing back these segments. Yes, I will bring back these segments. We're working on it right now. We're building a new crew. Now we got Kyle, Cosmic Kyle. We have Troy. We have Helen from Recovering from Religion. And we have Brent Lee. Brent Lee decided to come back. So we got 4. We're trying to bring another female, right? As well. So, and I will give them a choice of take a segment or create your own, right? I want to encourage people to put their voice out there. I don't want to be a control freak. Originally when I started the show, I almost wanted to start the show so somebody would take it away from me, right? If somebody could take it away from me and do a better job at it than me, by all means, right? Because the show was never about me getting glory. The show was always the message. There was 2 main messages on the show. Was 1, you're not alone, and 2, rising tide lifts all ships. So if this is why I also interview a lot of people that are other podcasters. Although a lot of podcasters don't do that, I have a tendency to do that because if I can bring a couple of listeners to them, it helps them spread their message as well. It lifts all ships. We're all in this together. It was never about me getting personal glory. I will never be super famous like Seth Andrews and stuff like that. That's never the case, and I'm not working towards that either. The new segue bumper music is nice. I feel also could use a constant theme to intro outro like the young I'm an Atheist. We still have that, but the I'm an Atheist song or theme song is still there, but you can only hear it on the audio podcast version. On the live feed like this, I don't play it. I just add it on afterwards. I could play, but you're spending 10 to 30 seconds looking at the screen till it's time to go. So it's kind of a bit weird. I probably will. Now that we're doing the streaming thing and we're doing this live, I probably will and have all the segments and all the theme songs in there. Absolutely. Without prodding too much into what seems like a Beatles break or up correlation, but then I get back together with all the host feelings. What happened is, in a nutshell, and I don't want to, I want to be delicate here. When the relationship, Sabrina and I were dating at the time. The relationship between her and I went south, and in that time, Sabrina left, and then all of a sudden, Brent Lee, Benjamin Hertzie left as well, and they left for the reason that I was told was because I brought on Christine Shuska. I've known Christine Shuskas for years. She was a president of a Atheist Alliance International. She was on the Legion of Reason podcast. She's a friend. We've met in person a few times at conference. She's always had a good head on her shoulders. I don't necessarily always agree with her, but that's okay. I mean, do you really agree 100% with all your friends? No, you don't. Even get somebody like Brent Lee, him and I get along superbly well. There's some things we don't necessarily agree on, and that's fine. I tapped Christine on the shoulder, say, "Look, I need a female co-host. Would you be willing to come?" And she said, "Yes, absolutely." And Christine's always been a kind of no nonsense kind of gal, say it as it is, shoots from the hip sometimes. And the problem is Christine had become or has become romantically involved with somebody who I won't mention. And the problem is this person is a bit of persona non grata in a lot of the atheist community. Now, I found this after she had come on the show because it's really none of my business who people date and fall in love with and have a relationship with. It's really none of my business. And I didn't want Christine to pay for the alleged sins of her boyfriend, who's now a fiance. So it's pretty serious, right? And knowing Christine, when she tells me this person is not who you think they are, I have to give him benefit of a doubt because I know Christine. I know Christine. You know, part of me thinks, well, if he ever did something really bad to Christine, I'd probably be the first one out there to punch his nose out. But I know Christine is she's not a flake, right? She's a decent person and she's got a really good relationship and she's got a good head on her shoulders. So okay, and it would be unfair. It would be unfair to block her because of her relationship with her boyfriend. I mean, it's a guilt by association, and I think that's completely unfair. So I didn't want to can her out. I didn't want to stop her from coming on the show. But the co-host I had at the time felt that that was a bridge too far. Um, and at the same time, the relationship with Sabrina and I was coming to an end, and it all pretty much happened at the same time. So all of a sudden, I'm in no man's land. I don't even know if I have a show. I've got no co-host. I've got essentially nothing. The laptop and the computer I was using at the time got destroyed in the process. All my sound bites, all my information, all my things that I had for LATV was gone. All my accounts had been kind of hacked and sabotaged, and they have been, I mean, I still haven't recovered the leftofvalley.ca. So when you still hear the show, I'm not saying check us out at leftofvalley.ca because it's not there yet. I don't quite have it yet. I'm on the cusp of having it, but I don't have it yet. So all it was a very, very dark time. And so I'll continue with the um very few atheist podcasts opted to platform unmentioned in person. In fact, there was only 3 or at least 50, 60, and many hosts of the yeah, that's right. No, I didn't want Christine to pay for the alleged sins of her boyfriend, and that was just not fair, right? I mean, if somebody in your life does something, and it's hard enough to that people are not very forgiving. It's guilt by association, and I didn't want Christine to do that. Christine had her own opinions, and she had her own values, her own answers to question, and they're women's answers too, which is another thing too, because we've always been very pro women, very pro female. So, and there's very few women out there. Ladies, give me a call. You want me on the show? Give me a call. I could use another strong female on the show. Please give me a call. Message me. I want to give a platform for ladies to express themselves too, right? It doesn't have to be the atheist community. Doesn't have to be a sausage fest. It does not have to. I really think it shouldn't either. Um, in all my years of listening to atheist podcasts, and there have been many, I've probably listened to more atheist podcasts that have gone off the air than most people will ever listen or even know exist. In such time, I've only ever, for cause, stopped listening to one atheist podcast for unspecific reasons. I won't specify which one, and probably won't have never heard of it anyway. That's fine. For me, it's more of an open-mindedness and its absorption of the good, the bad, and the ugly, with or without judgment, or just processing it all. Yeah, we're talking a lot about that recently, of what's going on in the atheist community with the whole, for lack of a better term, I like to use that. I hate to use that term. The whole woke thing. There's some issues we need to really sit and talk about that. Brent Lee recently on his own show had to invited David Smalley on his show, and he basically was lambasted for inviting David Smalley. I mean, I've never seen David Smalley do anything bad, and there's this story I tell. I'm going to do a side thing here because that's what I do all the time. I remember when we were doing the show there, and all of a sudden there's this. We had this guest, and we're talking about this female guest, and we're talking about it. And once we got off air, she mentioned that she was doing a abortion debate. This was before they canceled Roe versus Wade in the U.S., right? And I said to her, we just had a couple of months ago a talk with Andrew Torres, who's a lawyer, right? And Andrew was fantastic at explaining exactly what was going to happen. And if you go back to the archive and listen to the show, it's exactly what happened to. Boom, down to exactly. He predicted it. He knew it was going to happen. It happened exactly the way he said it. And this girl looks at me and she says, "Fuck Andrew Torres." And I'm like, "Why? Why would you say that?" And then she mentioned, I said, "Well, what do you have against Andrew Torres?" And then she mentioned some nebulous thing he said years ago that she didn't agree with. And I said, "That's a problem. That's a problem, right? I mean, you cannot. You have at your disposal a friendly person that's essentially on your side politically that knows the layout of the law, and you're going to have a debate, and you're going to abstain from using that resource because of one thing he said you didn't really agree with. That's a problem to me. All right, I mean, because like I said earlier on, you have all your friends. If you sit with your best friend and go through 100 subjects, will you agree with 100% of what your best friend agrees with? No, you will not. Your best friend might say a couple of things that you say, "Whoa, really, dude?" It doesn't stop that the fact that this person is a decent person, right? So anyway, and I liken to, imagine if you're like in World War II and you're General Charles de Gaulle and you're the French general. You've just been invaded by the Germans. You've just been defeated on the battlefield. Like, can you imagine Charles de Gaulle then? "Well, I don't know if I want to talk to this Winston Churchill fellow. The French and the English have been at war forever." That'd be ridiculous. There's a bigger picture there. You're fighting the Nazis. There's a much bigger picture. Winston Churchill and Charles de Gaulle probably didn't see eye to eye a whole lot, but they knew better that they had to put aside their petty differences to fight the bigger picture. And this is the point I'm trying to make. Is right now, especially in the U.S. I mean, I'm in Canada, right? I mean, essentially, it's almost paradise compared to the U.S. Frankly. Uh, Somebody offered me $250,000 to go work in Texas in the U.S., I would still say no. So that's how bad I feel about this. And you guys are literally at war against Christianity. Like literally, you might not think so, but they do. They certainly do. And they're doing a scorched earth thing. So you can say, well, you know, yeah, we have truth on our side. That doesn't matter in politics. You have truth on your side. It doesn't matter. What matters is the vote. And it's apropos that I do this today when you guys are actually voting. And can you imagine Charles de Gaulle saying, "Oh, well, I'm not going to talk to Winston Churchill because, we disagree on A, B, and C"? That'd be preposterous. And yet, this is exactly what we're doing in the leftist community, in the atheist community as well. Don't want to talk to this guy because he said one thing one time you didn't agree with, but you agree with 97% of all the stuff he says. Why would you? Why would you stop being friends with this guy over one simple thing? It's ridiculous. Anyway, where was I with all this? I continue. This being said, I have never intentionally skipped any LATV episode because of specific objectionable content or host. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I have done that with episodes of other shows. Well, there we go. Thank you so much, Free Thinker 215. I found it interesting that RFR discussed with you the potential problematic issues with co-host Christine. Yeah. I'm not getting into the subject of that. Christine decided to opt out of being a host at Left in the Valley. She felt that we are still friends, and I said to her, so I don't want to bench you, and she says no, but I understand that my relationship might be causing some issues down the road, so she decided to opt out, and she graciously did so, and that's fine. That's fine, and I wish her best of luck. We're still friends, and down the road, like they say, time heals all wounds. Except somebody who said that's never hit in the head with a clock. Maybe we'll be able to bring Christine back. Christine apparently has also been rumored to want to spearhead Atheist Alliance International again. I hope she does, because apparently that organization is having some issues, according to some people. So I'll be curious to see where that story goes. Moving on, I'm glad amends appear to have been made. Yes. In the recording of the Halloween special, there was some annoying feedback. Yeah. Troy had these earbuds with a microphone, and it was scratching on his beard. That was the sound. I was trying to send him a message, Troy, mute your mic. If you're not talking, mute your mic. And I was muting his mic, and he would like, oh, he unmuted. He didn't realize it. That's fine. That's what happens, right? That's what makes the show authentic. The fact that we don't really know what's going to happen. Things like that happen. It just shows that it's not scripted. It's not rehearsed. It's absolutely what you see is what you get. Um, because I only listen to the Patreon RSS feed, I'm not sure what I'm missing from the regular podcast upload of the podcast feed. Yeah. What you're essentially when you do what happens here is on the Patreon when you're a patron on the Patreon feed, what happens is I hit record and it's recording audio before the StreamYard goes live like this, right? So the guest comes in and we're chit chatting. We're talking about stuff. Hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. I kind of usually talk to my guests. Okay, is there anywhere else you don't want us to go during the interview? We'll be talking about A, B, and C point. I try to let them take over the conversation, because you're not there to listen to me, right? You're there to listen to what they have to say, and I don't want to be one of these hosts that's always interjecting with a story of their own and all that stuff. I sometimes I do a little bit, but I try not to, right? I try to let them talk about. They're the experts. They're the ones we bring in for this. You don't want to be talking to me or listening to me. If you do, you'd be here right now doing so that's fine. And after the recording is done, after I push the button that says end broadcast and it's still recording, right? So you have a bit of after happens. This is what you get on the Patreon feed. You get the complete show unedited. There's no cut. There's no Sometimes you get a section that the guy made a complete mistake. So, can we erase that part or something like that? That doesn't happen a whole lot, but that's not removed. You get the raw audio as it was when he came in to when he actually hangs up, and then to when I hang up, because usually when he or she, our guest, leaves, uh, we're still on. We're still on, and we're chatting about podcast stuff. So, okay, next guest coming up is going to be blah blah. January 9th, we have Tom and Cecil and blah blah, and etc. etc. So that's what you get when you become a patron. Another thing I missed was that was discontinued was the video of the recording for patrons only. Yeah. The reason I went back to audio for patrons is because, first of all, I still don't know exactly how to edit video. I know how to edit audio. Editing video, it's not my forte. Sabrina used to do that. She did a very good job at it. I never had a chance to actually learn it. Eventually, hopefully, I will. But there's already so many things. So right now, that's why I've sent the audio. Recording the video would have to be, we'd have to record only and not go a live feed like this, right? If we recorded only and then downloaded it once it's finished recording and then uploaded it to the sites, and I thought this is just simpler like this. But I totally welcome the idea, and down the road we might do that. What I really need to do is find myself a good producer. That's what I need to do. Somebody that knows the technical stuff side of things. That's what I need. If you know one, let me know. Initially, I didn't watch because of an audio only podcast listener. That's fine, listening in the car, and that's what you do with a show like this, right? If you just sit in front of the computer and listen to it, it's just going to drive you bananas. This is the kind of stuff you put in the background as you're doing washing the dishes, or, you're mopping the floor, or you're doing your chores, or you're listening in the car as you're driving along to work. That's the best way to listen to a podcast. I believe it was only made patrons via unlisted invitation only YouTube link. Yeah, it was, and the reason it's not anymore is because I don't know. I just don't know how to do it. Like I said, Sabrina used to be the one to do that, and she was doing a marvelous job at it. I just don't know how to do it. Any chance of bringing back the video for patrons only via Patreon on unlisted YouTube video? Yes, as soon as I can figure out how to do it, or as soon as I can find somebody that can do it for me. Absolutely. LATV is quite possibly my second favorite atheist podcast. Oh, well, thank you. Second's not bad. It's over. Behind the Honorable Annie Laurie Gaylor and Dan Barker's long-running FFRF. Well, if I'm second to those guys, I am flattered. I am flattered. It was also the only audio podcast that I watched a video of The other being Amy and Amy's Secular Soup podcast. Yeah, Amy and Amy's Secular Soup. We for the longest time we had this excuse me, this a rivalry. Now it's not really a rivalry, but we're just teasing and playing along with them. And here's the story. I had made a whole bunch of fake commercials that I was playing on the audio about Amy and Amy, and I was using like sound effects from. You remember the old show, A Current Affair? Tonight on A Current Affair, we go down deep under and watch Amy and Amy's Secular Soup. And then we had the guy that did their editing, a guy by the name of Richard, in Seattle. We had him record things like, "No, stop torturing me." Amy and Amy are torturing their editor. And we had a whole bunch of these funny commercials that we do all the time. They never really responded in kind. It's a shame. Not like it was a one-sided battle, but that's okay. and and then on top of that, the coup de grace. The coup de grace was supposed to be, I was having Tom and Cecil from Cognitive Dissonance come in on the show, and they were roasting them. But because of a technical issue, which I could not figure it out at the time, I did not know till much after they were gone. It only recorded on my side. It didn't record their side. I thought, oh my God, I had to cancel the entire show. And it was like the nuclear bomb that was going to just like win the fake war that I had with Amy and Amy. And it never happened. It was like, God damn. I had Tom and Cecil, and they were just laughing the whole time about Amy and Amy and who the hell are these two? And what the hell is this Secular Soup crap? And you know how they are, right? So unfortunately, this master plan that I had never came to fruition because for some reason, once in a while, the laptop decides to revert its setting back to original for some reason. It's like, why? I didn't get the presence of mind to check it or something like that before I did the recording. Because Tom and Cecil, they usually record on Thursdays, and when you're in the Pacific and they record at a certain time, you're just arriving after work, you just pop the computer on and just get in, you just drop your boots at the door and run to the computer so to do the recording. It's a shame, but anyway, that's what happened. So another free T-shirt. Yeah, well, I'll send you a T-shirt. I'll have to check. I'm not sure if I get your size left, but I'll check. A free mingle card would be great. Yes, I did. Like I said originally, if you go to Recovering from Religion and you make a $10 donation till Friday, right? For every $10 donation, you get a bingo card. And you give your email, and we're setting up an email right now to actually send you the bingo cards. We purchased like 500 of them. So you get a bingo card, and you get to play along with us during the broadcast Saturday. So Saturday, what's going to happen is we start the show we're starting strong with Seth Andrews, right? We come in and we talk about Seth, and he talks about RFR a little bit, and he talks about his projects. And every 30 seconds in the background, you'll have Troy saying, "Oh, 69. Or B12 or something like that." And you play along with your card. And then when you have a bingo, before we start with Seth's book, his own book is going to be the first prize. When you have a bingo, you message me. Say, "Kev, I've got a bingo." At that point, I ask you, "What's your card number?" Your card is number 35. Then we can pop in the computer and check card 35. Yes, card 35 indeed has a bingo. Congratulations. Free Thinker 215. Here you go. You have the book, and we'll send you we'll email you or we'll talk to you via email so we can have your coordinates so we can send you that book. It's that simple. And we're just going to keep going. We got 17 guests. We got, where's my list of guests here? We got like Andrew Magnabasco, we got Mike Wiseman, David Fitzgerald, Aaron Lewis, Aaron Raw, Matt Dillahunty, Seth Andrews, Mandisa Thomas, etc., etc. We have a lot of great guests. We have 17 of them. So every 10, 15 minutes, it's going to be like speed dating, Thank you, Seth. And a new one comes in, and a new guest comes in, and the bingo continues, and that's going to be, I don't know, a cameo from Matt Dillahunty or something like that. And that's what it's going to be, right? And we actually have more prizes than guests. So we might actually have to keep going after 4 o'clock until all these prizes are won. I mean, for example, the guys from Cognitive Dissonance, Tom and Cecil, for example, were generous enough to donate five of their books. So we have 5 of those to throw at you guys when we do the bingo. So go out there, go to the link and make a small donation. It's only $10, right? And you get a bingo card. If you do it on the day of, it's going to be $20. That's the problem, right? So if you do it now, it's going to be cheaper. If you do it on the day of, it's $20. And and then of course I'll have Troy, my man Troy here, and he's going to be like sending you a card via email, and then you can just play along as we're doing it, right? We're thinking, when we do the letters, I might do, I'll do something like, I might do something like this where I'll use a ticker down on the scrolling, and let's say, for example, I'll say 069 and show this, right? 069, right? And that's every 30 seconds I'd have to go back, edit it, and put it back on there. I might not. So you have to really follow the show and listen in for Troy. Don't rely on the ticker, And if you miss a number, well, I'm sorry, dude, it's a bit late. I mean, I can't stop the interview. I can't stop going. So make sure you listen in. And Troy will make sure to announce it clearly, and I'll repeat as well. And 35, and 35. So we'll have fun doing all that stuff. And all this is done for Recovering from Religion, because Recovering from Religion, what they're doing is they're trying to go international this year. They've been all over the US, all over Canada and Mexico and all that stuff. And they're trying to go overseas, Australia, the UK, and all these wonderful spots. There's a lot of people out there that could use their help, resources, the Secular Therapy Project. This is good stuff. And what we originally wanted to do, were thinking of, if the bingo is successful this year, what we were thinking of is we do the first 4 hours hosted by Left of the Valley here, and then at 4 o'clock Pacific, another feed would take over, like say in the UK, and then they would continue for another 4 hours, and then with their guests, and then in Australia, etc., etc. That's not going to happen. It's a bit too much logistically for the time frame that we had. But if this game is successful in North America this year, that's probably what's going to happen next year. Is it going to be still LATV hosting next year? Yeah, we hope so. If not, that's fine. It was my idea to go to RFR and basically tell them that. It's kind of funny because I've got some co-hosts in the past, I'm not going to mention who, that were kind of discouraging me from doing this and said, no, it's not going to work. This is a stupid idea. And here we are doing it. So to them. And so they love the idea of that, and they do so much work. And I told Daryl Ray, who's a good friend, who's become a good friend, I told Daryl, said, you know what, if you realize next year that it's better for RFR to have somebody more prominent than LATV to do this, by all means, take it and run. Like I said, I'm not doing this for glory. I have never done this for glory. I'm doing this to help. Your friendly neighborhood atheist. That's what I am. I'm just doing this for help. So anyway, I hope I've answered your questions there, Freaker215, Freethinker215. If you have other questions, feel free, send me an email, leftatvalley@outlook.com. DM me on Facebook, anything like that. Send me a message on Twitter. You can try Instagram. I don't really check it a whole lot. I'm old school. I'm very old. I'm old. I'm very old. So, like I said, November 12th, right? This Saturday, from noon Pacific time till 4-ish Pacific time, or if you're on the East Coast, from 3 to 7. Come with us, play bingo, and get some prizes. We have like T-shirts. We have some counseling sessions with Janice Selby. We have Del Rey. Del Rey is going to donate a dildo. I'm not kidding. There is actually going to be a prize of a dildo for the bingo game. So, yeah. So we're going to have fun doing this. And I'll even donate one of the Left of the Valley T-shirts. That'll happen as well. So just come on in, have some fun. I mean, we're just trying to make some money for a good cause. You know full well when you're an atheist and you leave the faith, for those of you that had the faith and left the faith, like myself, sometimes the world looks pretty scary. It looks like you're all alone. And the places like Recovering from Religion are people that are out there to lend a hand to those of us that are feeling a bit lost because you've been taught something all your life, and all of a sudden you realize, oh God, that was all bullshit. Where do you go from there? You're not certain about anything. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm really, really happy that a place like Recovering from Religion works for that, and helps all these people out there. You're not alone. None of us are alone out there. And in these days where religion is working really, really hard to take us back to the dark ages, uh, places like Recovering from Religion are important more than anything else. So it's worth donating $10 to get a bingo card and maybe win a prize. You got a good chance to win a prize, right? I mean, you make a donation and you get a T-shirt back, you're into your money for sure. So, what do you have to lose? Not much. So, anyway, I hope I answered your questions there. Uh, Anything else I need to say? No, I guess that's it, man. So, until Saturday, guys, I'll probably make in another appearance to try to plead for you guys to get some more things. In the comments there, you saw the left of the valley. I'm gonna. Oh, there we go. I'll show it again. It's a big link, but anyway, just click it and pass it on. Pass it on. Um, and come play bingo with us. The irony is, isn't bingo like known for like a Christian game or something? Don't they have like Christian churches playing bingo all the time? Is it just me, or is it? Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Oh man. All right, guys. I will let you be. Have a great rest of your day, and be good to each other. And until next time.